Confusion is in the air right now. This time, it's not because of Russian hackers. It's not a bot army waging information warfare on Facebook. This time, the person leading a disinformation campaign is President Trump. He is confusing the public and telling people that his political opponents are dirty. He's going on a Twitter storm all weekend long, smashing the media and Democrats while smearing this whistleblower that we still don't know much about. It seems he's backed into a corner on this issue involving Ukraine, which we're going to get into in detail. This was first reported days ago by the Washington Post. A troubling phone call, a promise Trump made to the Ukrainian leader. All of this, of course, leading the news, but his media allies are rushing to Trump's side.
This is a punk who's snitching.
Someone that's part of the deep state.
Spying on the president of the United States.
The Trump whistleblower may not be a whistleblower at all.
That's the rhetoric. That's what's happening on the right. This shows just how polluted our information environment is. Scoops do break through. Scoops have been breaking through all week long. But there's a poisonous cloud that covers our political discourse because Trump and his media wingmen will do anything to deny, deflect, and distract. That's what's happening right now. They are smearing a person whose secret complaint was deemed serious by a Trump-appointed inspector general. Some right-wing websites are already saying the whistleblower story is a bust, but we still haven't seen the complaint yet. It's a little bit like William Barr coming out and spinning the Mueller report findings before any of us were allowed to read it. So in this poisoned information space, the press needs to provide clear explanations of what is going on. This is a very complicated story, but here's the big picture from the Washington Post's Dan Balls this morning. He wrote this on the front page of the Post. Based on what has so far been reported, the president asked, encouraged, or demanded that the leader of a foreign government undertake an investigation designed to produce info that could damage a potential 2020 campaign rival. In other words, a president abusing his powers for political gain. So what is going to happen now?
It stretches 1,600 acres, double the size of Central Park, the carcass of a steel plant that, as the local saying goes, helped build the world and powered the economy of Northeast England for decades. It's steel holding up global landmarks like the Sydney Harbour Bridge. When this plant abruptly closed in 2015, more than 2,000 people lost what were well-paid and secure jobs. It's laid dormant ever since.
Such a huge wrench for a community that has been based in steelmaking for more than 100 years.
32-year-old Mayor Ben Houchin was born and raised here. 2 years ago, he was elected to the newly created role, overseeing a cluster of cities in a region known as Teesside. What was it like growing up here?
It was an amazing place. It still is an amazing place, but we just need to reinvent ourselves.
A reinvention he believes starts with Brexit.
Where?
Only by breaking up with Brussels, Houchin said, can the UK government act on his proposal, turning the old plant site and its surroundings into a special tax-free zone called a free port.
Having a free port based here would mean potentially zero tariffs, zero duties.
Wouldn't it be easier to attract manufacturers if the UK just stayed in a customs union?
Well, ultimately, 70% of people in the local area voted to leave the European Union. And I think one of the reasons was because the government wasn't able to intervene, for example, to save the local steelworks.
Houchin said turning Teesside into a free port could generate tens of thousands of new jobs in a region that desperately needs them. Unemployment in some areas of the Tees Valley is more than double the national average.
They can't possibly take anything else from us because everything's gone.
Frankie Wales worked in the steel plant for 15 years. He now runs an amateur boxing gym in the Teesside town of Redcar. For years, he's watched as men of working age were knocked down by factory closures, with the steelworks delivering the final blow.
It's quite disheartening to see 55, 60-year-old men who know they're never going to work again, who've been trained to be the finest steelmakers in the world, who now make lattes and coffee.
A gym rat turned town ambassador, Wales leads initiatives to get young men here in Redcar off the street and into fruitful employment. Have you heard of this Freeport idea that Mayor Ben has? And what's your take on it?
If there's an opportunity that is going to bring 10,000 jobs, 1,000 jobs, 100 jobs, that's better than no jobs at all.
The jobs won't arrive on the level at which some of the politicians who support the idea are hoping.
Economists like Cambridge's Meredith Crowley say it's unlikely a Freeport will help Teesside overcome the negative effects of Brexit.
Where you see big job growth would be in a country like China, where you have very, very low-skilled workers earning very, very low wages. So they're opening a free port will create a lot of employment opportunities. But British workers don't have that. They're much more skilled.
The UK government projected Brexit could shrink the Northeast's economy by as much as 16%. But Houchin is pushing ahead. He said more than 100 foreign firms have expressed interest in the Freeport site. A consortium of oil companies, including BP and Shell, have proposed building a clean energy plant. Do you ever think you're promising too much?
Look, the plan that we have, yes, it is ambitious, yes, it's hopeful, but the proof is in the pudding and there is evidence of it starting to come to fruition.
They say that Teesside built the world, the factory town now hoping Brexit will bring the world back to them. Hadas Gold, CNN, Teesside.